Have you ever met someone who relies on Santa for their home decor? Allow me to introduce you to Mushmouth, the epitome of couch potatoism. This is a man who has turned laziness into an art form, a man who spends his days doodling cartoons and conquering video game worlds, all while comfortably perched on his worn-out sofa. Unemployed and unbothered, Mushmouth has found his calling in life, to bully anyone within his reach, including unsuspecting kids. Now you might be wondering about his peculiar name. Well, it's a moniker as unique as his Christmas wish list. For years, Mushmouth has been using thumbtacks to hold up his curtains. Yes, thumbtacks. This year, his biggest Christmas wish is for Santa Claus to deliver him some curtain rods. Absurd, isn't it? An adult man relying on Santa for home improvement essentials. And so, Mushmouth waited for Christmas, hopeful that Santa would finally bring him curtain rods. So, what does a typical day look like for our dear Mushmouth? Rise and shine. It's another glorious day in the life of our very own Mushmouth. Well, perhaps rise and shine is a bit generous. It's more like roll and groan as he emerges from his slumber, leaving the comforting embrace of his wife's paycheck. Breakfast is a bowl of cereal, the kind that promises a toy inside. Mushmouth, of course, looks forward to the toy more than the actual sustenance. He then proceeds to his daily ritual of bullying the neighborhood kids. It's all in good fun, at least in his mind. He's like the neighborhood's unwanted clown, sans the red nose and the funny costume. Post-breakfast, it's time for some serious business. Our hero, Mushmouth, embarks on his grand adventure in the world of video games, fighting dragons, saving princesses, and conquering kingdoms. If only he showed the same enthusiasm in conquering the realm of employment. Now let's not forget the artistic side of Mushmouth. In between saving digital worlds and terrorizing kids, he finds time to draw cartoons. His favorite character, himself of course, always depicted as a gallant hero, never the couch potato he truly is. Lunchtime rolls around, and it's another meal funded by his ever-patient wife. He devours his sandwich as he plots his next virtual conquest. The rest of the day is a blur of joysticks, laughter, and occasional nap. Evening falls, and with it, the anticipation of dinner. Mushmouth can almost hear his stomach growl in anticipation. But let's be real. It's not the food he's excited about. It's the thought of another day closer to Christmas, another day closer to those coveted curtain rods. As another day ends, Mushmouth goes to bed, thumbtacks still holding up his curtains, and dreams of Santa and curtain rods dancing in his head. Ah, the simple joys of life, or should we say the joys of a simple life. Finally, the day Mushmouth had been waiting for arrived. Christmas morning. The sun had barely peeked over the horizon, and Mushmouth was already up, his heart pounding with anticipation. He was like a kid on a sugar rush, if that kid was an unemployed man-child with an unhealthy obsession with curtain rods. He dashed to the tree, tripping over his own feet in the process. His eyes scanned the sea of gifts, his hands shaking with excitement. He picked up a cylindrical object wrapped in festive paper. Could it be? He tore open the wrapping like a man starved, only to find a rolling pin. His wife's not-so-subtle hint at him to start baking and contribute to the household in some way. The look on his face was priceless, a mix of confusion, disappointment, and the dawning realization that he'd been duped. But being Mushmouth, he couldn't let the moment pass without a joke. He held up the rolling pin, squinted at it, and quipped, "Well, I guess I could always use this to hold up the curtains, right?" His laughter echoed in the room, a feeble attempt to mask the disappointment. But who knows? Maybe this was the push he needed. But alas, Santa had other plans. Perhaps he too thought it's high time Mushmouth earned his own curtain rods. But don't be too disheartened for our friend Mushmouth. After all, his wife, weary of his perpetual laziness, took the reins. Out of her own pocket, she bought those coveted curtain rods. But here's the twist. Instead of using them for their intended purpose, she repurposed them into festive Christmas decoration holders. So, in a way, Mushmouth got his wish, just not quite how he'd pictured it. And so, Mushmouth got his curtain rods, just not in the way he'd anticipated. Maybe next year he'll ask Santa for a job instead.